What's good, peoples? This is Soundmason coming to you from my studio. And tonight we're going to go through my sound kit that I produced for TRAKTRAIN. So let's get to it. So first things first, let me open up Ableton and we'll go through some of the sounds. And before I do that, take a look here. So we've got the title, we've got the key, we've got the tempo, we've got this instrument style. I didn't give them specific names because a lot of it was analog synths that I've used, and they were my own patches, and they're more number based anyway. So that's what you're going to get as far as title. So overall, there's 30 complete loops, which is going to be the ones that don't have anything after the tempo. And then I also bounced down the stems of each loop. Now each loop had 3 stems, so there was 90 stems, but I couldn't include all of them due to licensing. So in total, there's 65 individual stems and 30 complete loops. So that's 95 sounds to pick from. Basically on the same wave of lo-fi, darker kind of tape vinyl vibes. It also has some cinematic stuff in here you could use for scoring. Good starting points for a lot of things. A lot of great sounds, a lot of melodies, a lot of things you can mix and match. Take the time to pitch up, pitch down, double time, half time. Just really get into it. There's a lot of things in between the lines here with this kit. It's not all about just putting a loop in and just slapping some drums under it. If you take the time to really explore and listen, there's a lot of beats in here, a lot of inspiration. I'm really excited about how it came out. So first things first, before I get into the making of the beat, let me play you some of the samples from the kit. So you can hear there are a lot of different flavors of the same style. Definitely connected to what's hitting right now for sure. So a lot of opportunity in here to make something current, to expand your sound, to get you into a creative space, to make some hits. So let me go through how I made a beat out of this one. So you can see here the Dirty Keys sample. It has a grand piano, it has a synth bell, it also has some synth strings. So I started out with a piano and I'm listening to it, and I felt like it needed a little more bounce to it, a little bit more of an up-tempo feel. So what I did was I sped the track up to 132 from 120, which was the original tempo, and I also transpose the sample 3 steps out of G minor. So this is what that sounded like. So I listened to that for a little while, and I felt like that was where it needed to be for it to have a nice rhythm, a nice bounce to it. So once I got to that point, and that's usually what I do with the sample, I just keep moving it around till it kind of moves on its own without any help. And then it's easy to fill everything else in. So once I had that, I started with some drums. So I got to that point, I'm listening to it. Once I get there where I've got kind of the basis of the beat going, I like to step into the artist's shoes and start listening for what the vocal is going to sound like, and picturing what the flow is going to be, what the melodies are going to be like, what the tone, the aggression, or the calmness of it. All those pieces start coming in because that allows me to finish a track. So when I did that, I didn't necessarily like what I heard. I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't think it was original enough. So I started messing around with that sample again, and I really liked the bass notes of it. So to bring that out, I used the halftime plugin from Cable Guys, and this is what that sounded like. So I had that going, and to me, that had more space for an artist to be creative and to do something a little bit fresher than the standard just rap over a double time beat. So this is what that all sounds like together. So you can also hear I added in just a little staccato chord of a choir and from Omnisphere, and then I also added in a what sounds like a tubular bell from Keyscape. It's actually not a tubular bell. It's a specific type of piano, but the way it sounds to me, it sounds very similar to a tubular bell. So that's what I use to kind of accent the beginning of the loop. So now I had an 8-bar loop, and one thing I also added in there was the halftime sample. I doubled it and bumped it up 1 octave, and between that little extra octave juice and the choir chords, it just raises the tension and it moves the emotions of the verse a little bit. And that's important to do when you want to avoid it being stagnant, it being monotonous or predictable. When you add those little elements without overproducing, it just creates the opportunity and the space for an artist to do even more. And I think a lot of times, a lot of younger producers get into the habit of trying to impress people with doing too much. And if you're in that space, my suggestion would be to step out of it and go back to fundamentals, because if you're trying to impress people by doing a lot, you don't have the right elements. You should be able to play the basics of a beat and grab somebody's attention. If that's not good enough, stick with that. Keep working on that. You don't want to get into a place where you're playing beats for people and they're asking you to take stuff out. You'd much rather be in a place where they're like, hey, you could put this in. Now, I'm not saying you play beats that aren't finished. It's not that, but there's a very fine line between production and overproducing. And a lot of artists are looking for the space to do their thing on. If you don't give them that, they're just going to pass in your beat no matter how much fire you've got. It's about producing. It's not just making beats. If you want to do beats for battles, that's one thing. But if you're trying to do records, it's important to make those subtle adjustments to make the track interesting without overproducing. So I have the intro, I have a verse, and now I'm getting into what the chorus is going to sound like. So what I decided to do was go back to that section I created for the intro as a pre-hook. So here's what that sounds like from the verse going into the pre-hook. So once I had that, the decision needed to be made on whether I was going to open up the chorus to include another melody. Sometimes a track, especially more of a rap track where, or let's just say a hip hop track where it's really more about the rapping than it is about a melody. Sometimes a rapper is going to need that assistance. If they're going to rap a hook, you play the melody. But in this case, I really felt like it was going to be more of a melodic hook. So I didn't want to stuff up that room. So what I did was I just went back to that piano over the drums that I started with before I went to halftime. And then took the string sample from the kit and laid that on top. So this is what the pre-hook into the hook sounds like. So there you have it. That's the basis of the beat and how I made it. The full beat will be available in a link on the page. There's also another demo beat I made from the Hit the Switch loop that I played earlier. So there's going to be 2 demo beats for you to check out. I'm really excited about how this kit came out. I think there's a lot of good creative options here, a lot of things you can pick and choose from to make it your own instead of sounding like you just took sounds from a kit. So I'm excited about that. I really encourage everyone to check it out. I want everyone to pick it up, buy it, support myself, support TRAKTRAIN. Get yourself some beat sales, some leases, whatever. Make this money you spend on this kit, flip it into 100 times that. So I wish everyone the best, and look out for the next kit coming soon. And any music that you want to check out from me, just check out soundmasonmusic.com. I'm on Instagram as Soundmason Music also. All right, my brothers, peace out.